The dumbest hacker in history, a long story. Beginning of the story, the hacker who thought he was a genius. In the world of technology, there are people with incredibly sharp minds who hack secret systems to get money, sensitive information, or fame. But there was one man who made it into the history books, not for a good reason. His name is Christopher C.J. Wilson, and he'll never be forgotten because he was one of the dumbest hackers in history. He thought he was a legendary hacker, full of arrogance and ego, trying to carry out a plan that would end up being his downfall. Before we dive into the story of the most foolish hacker, we'll also talk in this same video about another figure who pulled off one of the most fascinating heists in history. His name is Dahir X, a fake name he used. His real birth date, appearance, and even his voice are unknown. But he became one of the most dangerous hackers of the modern age. So friends, join us and subscribe to this channel so we can share more stories like this with you. Also, give this video a like so we can dive right in. CJ was a young man who was very passionate about technology. He loved reading stories about famous hackers in history like Kevin Mitnick and Adrian Lamo. He dreamed of becoming a famous figure the world would talk about. But he had one major problem. He lacked intelligence, a good plan, and real skills. In the world of hacking, intelligence and planning go hand in hand. But CJ rejected everything that stood in his way. He blindly followed whatever idea popped into his head and forced himself into actions that led him to disaster. The ambition to hack, a poorly thought out plan. CJ spent many days browsing free online hacking tutorials, which were meant to help beginners learn how to hack systems. But instead of learning how real hacking worked, he simply downloaded the easiest software and assumed that was enough. One day, CJ tried to hack into his local bank system, hoping to steal money from customer accounts. Instead of using sophisticated tricks, he typed in the most basic username and password, admin and password 123. Unsurprisingly, the bank immediately rejected his attempt and flagged it as a very obvious hacking attempt. That wasn't the end of his foolishness. He also sent an email to the bank's staff pretending to be a high-level cybersecurity officer. His message said, "Please send me the bank's confidential system data. I need to verify account safety." All the bank employees laughed at the message because it was so obviously fake, especially since he used his real email address and didn't even connect through a VPN. That very day, the FBI began investigating who sent that ridiculous email. Second attempt. If hacking doesn't work, try gambling. After failing at hacking the bank, CJ decided to try something else. He turned his attention to online gambling websites and thought, if I steal gambling money, no one will notice. Instead of secretly breaching the system, he emailed the gambling website's company and wrote, "I want to understand how your system works so I can win more money. Please send me detailed information." Yes, as unbelievable or silly as it may sound, this is exactly how CJ acted. Even worse than what an average person would do. He was beyond dumb. It's like saying, "I want to drive a car," and then jumping straight into a fast and furious scene. The company immediately contacted the FBI because, once again, CJ used his real email, his real IP address, and even his real name in the message. The arrest, foolishness without limits. CJ didn't give up. He kept trying to hack other things like people's Facebook, Twitter, and even Amazon accounts. But then he made one of the dumbest mistakes of all. He bragged on his own Facebook page, posting, "Now I'm a big hacker. I crack your account like it's nothing." When the FBI saw that, they decided to act fast. They tracked his social media data, his IP address, and even the GPS of his computer. That day, agents knocked hard on his door, and he didn't even have time to shut down his computer. He tried to delete his data, but instead of deleting files, he accidentally backed them all up. Conclusion: a foolish hacker who became a cautionary tale. When he was brought to court, CJ confessed to everything, and he was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Shockingly, even in prison, he tried to hack the prison's TV system, but again used the default username, admin, and password 123. His story became a lesson to many. Hacking is not easy, and it's not something just anyone can do. He became known as the dumbest hacker in history, with some people even calling him the hacker who hacked himself.